Hi all, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name's Kat Morgan. I'm the Sales and Partnerships Manager at Boma. For those of you that are Boma users, you've probably seen my name and my face a number of times. A lot of the communication from Boma goes out with me on it. So again, thank you so much for taking your time today. So we'll jump kind of straight in. You know, when it comes to the dirty C word, we're all a little bit sick of hearing about it in reality, but you know, it's something that of course has affected everyone, and in particular small business owners. So today we're going to hear from the lovely Huia at Prospa, and who is going to explore a range of ways that you can offer support to your small business clients as they're really emerging from this crisis and getting back to business. So first up, a quick bit of housekeeping. Please pop any questions in the Q&A box. We'll answer what we can as we go. Any that we don't get to today, we will come back to you individually. This session will be recorded, so if something happens, you have to step away, never fear, we'll send you a link to the recording tomorrow. We'll probably take up about 35 to 40 minutes of your time today. And on that, I'd like to introduce you to Huia Manuel, who looks after the local community of advisors and accountants, just like yourself, throughout New Zealand. So thank you so much, Huia, for being here today. I'm really interested to see what you're going to be talking about today. So with that, I'll hand over to your lovely self.
Hi, how are you all? Sorry about the funny back screen. I'm moving, so you don't want to see all the boxes behind me. But also today, Adrienne Church, my general manager, was going to be on, but she's actually at the airport with the school holidays, and there's nowhere quiet enough for her to be able to join us today, unfortunately. So I'll be going over the slides in bits and pieces, and then, as Kat said, you'll be getting an email of the recording. And Adrienne and I are available throughout the country for seminars, meetings, and conferences. You know, so you'll see us around likely, or we're very easy to get in touch with to catch up face to face if that's what you wanted to do and get to know more about us after this webinar. So just moving on, I'm going to share my screen and get into our presentation that we've got for you today.
Wonderful.
All right. So just a small introduction to Prospa. We've actually been in New Zealand now for close to 2 years. As I go through the slides, you'll get to know a lot more about us. We're going to be going over just the current market opportunity with regard to Prospa in the New Zealand market. Some insights for you, some of the digital acceleration bits and pieces that we do, and also I've got some real life scenarios that we can talk through to give you more of an idea of the customers that we're seeing and helping throughout New Zealand. So when we talk about the market opportunity in New Zealand, you know, we look at small business in New Zealand, that's 450,000. And in terms of the customers, or the number of customers that we can help in terms of our lending space, that's 331,000 of those. If we look across over here at the Prospa's solutions in terms of addressing the significant market gap in terms of lending, we can see, like traditionally, we have our lenders, which are your main banks, and then within the main banks, we've got your business managers, and you've got your mortgage managers, and you've got your kind of front office staff. But in terms of small business, there isn't really a specific department in any traditional lender that can help a small business with you know, their cash flow needs. So we know this in Australia. Our business has been operating in Australia for the last 8 years, and we've been in New Zealand now, as I said, for the last 2 years. And we've identified that gap in Australia and New Zealand, and even more so now with the COVID, you know, with everything that's happened through the COVID lockdown. So in terms of lending money to small business, the traditional lenders just don't get up enough to do it, to get the money out there quick enough, such as we are, because we heavily invest in technology to get the money out there. So when we look at the impact of COVID-19 on small business, I mean, as we all know, a huge amount were impacted. However, we can see that bounce back, so we can see that V recovery in our market and in the data that we see. So in terms of, you know, obviously the industries that were impacted the most, we've got our hospitality, absolutely, and our retail. But again, just looking at recent data from our Centrix partners, New Zealand credit consumer demand has really started to bounce back after our latest lockdown. So we can see that, you know, our credit demand is back to pre-COVID-19 levels. We're at 96%. And again, in this last month, this data is until recently for the whole of September. And we can see that we've had an increase in credit demand of 10% from our most recent lockdown, level 3, and Auckland and level 2. Also, more positive signs observed. We can see Auckland is up 16% since being in level 2.5. So definitely what we've seen with regard to business and the business that we've seen and we're helping in terms of finance. From the first lockdown, you know, everyone was kind of locked away and had to come up with ways to keep their business moving and how to operate more efficiently and more effectively. So it was kind of a test by fire, I suppose. And everyone's come out and made the adjustments in their business. And we can see now when Auckland went into the level 3 and the rest of the country went into level 2, a lot of business was still able to trade through all those levels. So in terms of being more efficient and being able to get their products out there, everyone's kind of adjusted and been able to make changes in their business to be able to be that more resilient. And regardless of what level we go to in the future, we've got the click and collect set up now, we've got the website set up now, and we've also got the adjunctions to the business to be able to offer more products out there and increase their market share and to continue trading. And again, exactly what I said, adaptation and resilience is part of business DNA, and absolutely that pivot, to really grasp opportunities and really not only survive, but to really thrive. We've also seen in this market, absolutely customers have changed all their habits. And I mean, personally, for me, I'm not really a big shopper, but I have actually moved to online shopping, and like I said, that click and collect. I will also say that I'm out there spending more money in my local community as well, just to help our local business, our local cafes, and our local craft shops and gift stores and beauty stores. I've just bought some vouchers for some friends today, just to keep those business going. So I think we're more aware of what's around us and trying to kind of adapt and also spend to keep our business and our communities alive. So in terms of what we are, Prospa, we are the enabler of fast and easy access to funding. Like I said, we've been in New Zealand for nearly 2 years. Across New Zealand and Australia, we've actually lent over $1.6 billion. So it might not sound much when we've been in Australia for 8 years, but in Australia, our average loan sizes are actually $40,000, and in New Zealand, our average loan sizes are $27,000. We're seeing post-COVID, our actual average loan sizes have gone up a bit. They've gone up to about $55,000 here in New Zealand, and I think that's just the opportunity that business is seeing and the funds that they're needing to be able to pivot and add those other functions to their business to keep, because they're growing. And like we can see here, we've helped more than 28,000 customers across Australia and New Zealand. We're definitely well placed to support the economic recovery, purely because we're able to lend through we were lending through every level of lockdown, any level of lockdown, and we're definitely still well placed with funds, and also again the technology to be able to support small business. Quickly and efficiently deliver funding to small business. So basically, a business can come into us and we can fund them within 24 hours. And that's all the time. So as well as investing in technology to help us drive that, to drive those timeframes, we also invest heavily in our staff. And also, I think it's our mantra. So our business, we're a fintech company, but one of our goals are to be a startup always. So the whole business is always thinking of ways to help efficiencies and help us grow and help us keep delivering the great customer service that we can. So that's to your customers and also to you if you become a partner of ours. And definitely customers come to us for definitely accessibility of funds, for the customer service we provide, and that speed. So sometimes the opportunity that a business may have that's in front of them, they might need to access those funds within basically a day, 2 days, sometimes a week, sometimes 2 weeks. And I don't know how many of you have been out to try and get funding recently, or how many of your customers have gone out to try and get funding recently, but it's definitely a minimum of a 10 working day delay. And sometimes sometimes for a business, that's just too long. The opportunity that's in front of them might have disappeared. So in terms of with us, how business are using the funds, absolutely maintaining short-term cash flow or liquidity, replacing, upgrading, or buying additional equipment. We'll go through, I've got some actual real scenarios in here, and I can talk through that type of business and what they look like. What I'm saying, 7 out of 10 deals that we're approving and that we're settling are all for growth, and it's quite amazing. It's really good to see. I'll also talk through how we do our assessments. So the first scenario we've got here, when we talk about the hospitality restaurant. So this business is in St Helens. They've been operating for 11 years. So they come in to get some equipment, some like automated pizza machine. They needed working capital and also stock. So the way that we assess this, which is very unique, like I keep saying, based on the technology that we own. So for an assessment of business, we only need to look at the last 12 months of business bank statements for any loans up to 150,000. We look at the last 12 months business bank statements for this business and hospitality. Like I said, they've been in business for 11 years. When we look at the last 12 months business bank statements and we look at their monthly turnover till the middle of March before our lockdowns, their monthly turnover was about 73,000 per month. And then we look at the average over the 12 months, which is about 46,000 per month, which, isn't really fair because we've had, the whole level 4 and everything where no one was trading really. And then we looked at the last 30 days, and the last 30 days, their monthly turnover was about 56,000. So we were able to use the most recent last 30 days of their turnover to do an assessment and be able to lend the funds that they were looking for, which was 61,500. What I love about this scenario is, again, this business has come in to get this automated pizza machine. So basically now they can trade through, again, every level. If we go back into level 3, They can do takeaway pizzas. They're beautiful gourmet pizzas. They've added another part to their business, and they've made sure that they've got everything in place to be able to work through every level. So, they're going to, and also we could see that looking at the last 30 days, that their income and their turnover is getting back to pre-COVID amounts, which...
Awesome. Good on them.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant.
Yeah,
and
good news story like that.
it's a great news story, and I think more so because, again, we use technology to help drive our decisions. We've got a credit decision engine, and so that's got all the data from all of those the small business loans that we've put out there, all of the types of business that we've lent to over the 8 years in Australia and the last 2 years in New Zealand. So when we talk about our business, and all we do is lend to small business, basically through the start of the lockdown, 50% of our book went into what we call arrears, but it's not actually arrears. So some customers did 100% deferrals, or other customers we would extend the loan term and reduce the repayments while they got their budgets in order, and really figured out what they were going to do and what government support they could get access to in Australia and New Zealand. But actually in New Zealand we're back to 88% of our customers are back to paying their full loans, and 12% are either 100% deferred or actually paying something but extended their loan terms. So I think that's a pretty phenomenal number, and it comes back to looking at our credit decision engine and the way it makes its decisions, using a whole lot of data points that we bring in together. So it's time in business, type of business, the industry, the behaviours in the bank accounts, how many customers they have, a whole range of things. And to that, in terms of helping with our decisions and using technology to help in our decisions and our upfront approvals, we've had 50% of our books that did continue paying through every level of lockdown. So when we look at that type, all of those business, what the industries are, what they look like when they come in, how long were they trading, what their credit scores were, all of that feeds back into the credit decision engine. It's such rich data, and it helps us to make really at point informed decisions, and that's why we can keep lending through every level of lockdown, and why we are confident to keep lending now, just because our book performance has been so fantastic. Here's another beautiful story. A hair and beauty e-retailer, a monthly turnover of 12,000. They came in to get 19,000, and that's fine. And she's grown her business. Again, that shift away from going into shops and actually buying online. So her business actually took off through the lockdowns, and she's been able to get funds from us and add a new product line, to her range. On the other side, we've got a haulage trucking company. So they come in to get money. They've bought another truck lease, another truck round. So that again is going to add more income to his business and help him grow. The reason why that one came to us is because he's been in business for 18 months. So we can help a business that has been operating for a minimum of 12 months. So that's another kind of customer that will fall outside of normal, main bank lending rules. So again, a brilliant example of a customer that's been able to come in, get funding, and grow their business, and get stronger, be stronger.
So cool to see that. Yeah, they might have been turned down by their banks, but there's another really secure, reliable option for them that can help transform their business. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think, speaking back to the truck owner as well, if he didn't buy that opportunity and get the funds to be able to do it, somebody else would have. And that's where probably that speed of funds come into play with us. Another great example, and these are all different types of business, which is why I like to talk about them. a commercial builder. So again, monthly turnover 302,000. So not a small business, quite a substantial one. Wanted 75,000, so the loan amount's 76,000. With this customer, he's got loads of work. He needs the money to be able to pay other contractors that he's got and working, and also to buy equipment. But the reality is he's going to have a cash flow gap, because a lot of the work is actually not going to be paid for 60 to 90 days. So, you know, what's the cost of him not having access to funds? Does it mean he can't take on more contracts because he can't get other people in, or he can't buy the equipment? Also in this one, it's very interesting. So for you guys out there, this business actually has a payment plan with IRD. So, you know, that's something of interest. A traditional lender probably would look at that if a business has a payment plan with IRD and say, you're not paying your tax. You know, you're not someone that we really want to support. However, in our instance, we can see that there's a payment plan in place because we've got the last 12 months business bank statements. We can see that they've been paying that on time and meeting that commitment without any issues. We can also see that they're paying and up to date with their current tax commitments. So that's not a limiter to us being able to fund this business. I think that's quite a good one, and another standout for where we can help customers. And then looking over, there's a seafood distribution business that again, and you can read through that, but that was buying a whole purchase of bulk goods that they were getting at a great price, so they wanted to take that opportunity. But the other one, the IT health industry. So this business has been in business for 3 years, and they're really growing, but they're just short of cash flow. What they're doing, they supply a particular program or IT to health departments and medical centres and things like that. And like I said, they're growing really quickly. Every new contract that they secure, it adds 14,000 per month to their turnover, and they also have to employ a new staff member to look after the new account. So we quite often see that where businesses are growing really quickly, they also have those cash flow gaps because you know, they've got to get people set up, and they've got to also pay their staff in the meantime, and there's a delay in when they get paid, and they've got to get out there and advertise and picking up new business. But in this instance, absolutely, we were able to help them, and likely if they went to a traditional bank, they've been in business for 3 years. If their first 2 years were quite low or slow, and we've seen the big uplift in the last, 6-7 months, it's going to be hard for a traditional lender to help them. But again, we look at the most current trading data by looking at the last 12 months of their business bank statements and seeing what the business or how the business is actually performing now. So we're not so interested in that historic, what was happening 2 or 3 years ago. I'll just go on. I like those examples. Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome to see how, Prospa can really support a business to transform. I think a lot of businesses are going through transformation right now because they have to survive, and that you're sort of enabling that for them. Of course, there's ones that just really looking to survive, but that you can also enable those that are really wanting to change their business substantially and capture new opportunities.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you're right. Even the ones that are coming in like just to survive. We did have a great one, and it was a fish and chip shop. Historically, and the advisor that we work with knew this business inside out. It's been working with them for the last 8 years. But historically, this is always a low period for that business anyway. We know that. And also, it hasn't helped with all the lockdowns and what have you. So they did. They actually just needed money to be able to keep trading. And we were able to fund them because we could see historically from October, November, October, they start picking up. November, December are huge. January and February again are huge, and we actually knew the town, beautiful tourist area. And so, yes, we're not getting the overseas people in, but we're all traveling. So, you know, I've had friends that have bought boats and bought caravans, and, you know, agents taking their kids down to Wellington this week. So as much as we're all supporting our local economy and getting out there and getting around New Zealand as well. So that was one that we're absolutely able to fund, purely because, you know, it's survival, but we know that it's coming into a busy time.
Yeah.
So in terms of opportunity for you guys that are watching, and I'm sure you've all done it, and again with Boma, with all the information that you're getting, and how your business and how you've had to think about your own business, and staying up to date. Other accountants and bookkeepers that I've been talking to actually didn't have a rest through lockdown, are busier than ever, and actually one business has employed more accountants because the owners actually become more looking after the relationship and business advisory. So they've added extended their business advisory part to their business, and then also had to have accountants that were doing the actual numbers and bits and pieces. So I've seen that in some business as well. Also, when we're talking about communicating with our customers, exactly what you guys are doing with Boma, digital doesn't mean sacrificing the human element. And I think more than ever in our business, where we're in the people business, you know, we have to keep as close to our customers as possible, and they want us to be close when we're the you know, when we're one of the source of information, or you guys are absolutely the source of information, where they're reaching out to you to try and figure out how they can stay in business, how they can operate how they can operate more efficiently, and what their you know, what their goals are and how you can help them meet those future goals as well. So absolutely, technology is the enabler. There are plenty of opportunities in front of you. We talk about diversifying into new income streams like online lending with Prospa. So, you know, you can absolutely become a partner with us, and that does and can and will absolutely add another income stream, but also add another, you know, service for your customers. I mean, you guys are seeing it. You're preparing all the financials. You're preparing all of the forecasts that the banks might want when a customer is looking for funding, and also with traditional lenders, a lot of banks are asking for a COVID recovery plan, you know, a future business plan. So that's all a whole lot of work that you're having to do for your customers, and then you're seeing them go to the bank for lending. And again, you know, it's either taking too long and that business is missing an opportunity, or the customers come back and said, look, for some reason, I haven't met the requirements. I'm not able to get funding with the bank at the moment. At least you know there's another option. When we say partner of choice for accountants, we've got a few ways that we measure our satisfaction with our customers. So NPS, we've got an NPS rating of 77, so current lender average is 8.2, and also we're on Trustpilot. So I've got a few screenshots next door of actual feedback from our customers that go through our process. Again, the partner experience, we're very easy to deal with. So we've got a whole team in New Zealand that work with you if you wanted to become a partner, or otherwise. The thing is, we traditionally work with finance advisors. So you might actually be already working with someone in finance, a finance advisor, and they would likely also be accredited with Prospa. So again, I think we just wanted to come out to you to let you know what Prospa is about, what we do, and the ways that you can work with us. So absolutely, you can work with us directly, or otherwise, at least now you've got more of an idea what we do, and you can even, if you didn't want to get involved with referring customers directly to us, you could absolutely talk to your finance advisor that you currently work with, or your insurance advisor, and they could absolutely become customers, partners with us if they're not already. And what have I got up here? Yeah, so customer experience. So I'll go through the application process. So if you were to send us, you know, a customer details that you know needed finance, or you were to send the details to, you know, your finance advisor, all we basically need is a customer's details such as name, number, email, and how much funds they're looking for. Any other information you've got would be handy, but you know, you don't need to send financials or anything like that to start with. Basically, you'll send us the information. I'll have someone from our sales team ring your customer within 2 hours. Our team will pick up the phone, talk to the directors of the business. The application time takes 10 to 15 minutes. We're only looking at lending to the business, so we're not looking at the customer's personal details, you know, what their mortgage is or what school their children go to. We're just looking at the business. We do the application over the phone, and then we'll send an electronic link directly to the customer. So they complete that, and then we get the last 12 months of business bank statements. We basically send that to credit, and our credit decision engine populates an answer, which is a risk rating, an offer of funds, and also a loan term. That gets populated in something like 3 minutes. We've got credit managers that will go over and do a sanity check, and then our salesperson will come back, call the directors, go over the offer. If they're happy to go ahead, we will email documents via DocuSign, and the customers can complete the digital contract, and the funds are delivered to the account. So this is the process generally. It's really efficient, and again, I mean, what's the time? It's 2 o'clock. We can absolutely, even now, still be able to do an application and fund it by the end of today. Wow. But 80% of our 80% of our loans are funded within 24 hours. In some instances, we might need to come back to the customer. Like there was the example with the person that was paying, the builder that was paying a tax arrears. They had an arrangement with RD. So in that instance, we probably might have gone back to him and asked for a tax portal, just to show that he's up to date with his current tax commitment, which, as you know, the customer can just log into the RD website and pull that information off. We can approve our loans up to 150,000, basically using the 12 months business bank statements. But when we're looking at loans for 150 to 300,000, then we would come to your accountant just to get up-to-date financials and yeah, the P&L. So again, basic information just to support that larger loan amount. So again, here's some examples from Trustpilot, from customers that have come in, New Zealand customers, and they put their names in there. So again, really impressed with constant communication, level of service I received, exceeded my expectations. Having worked in the finance industry myself for over 5 years, completely impressed. Fast service, staff communication skills are tremendous. And again, very impressed with the ease of operation. So I love reading these out, and you can actually go and do a Google search, Trustpilot Prospa New Zealand, and people are giving feedback our customers are giving feedback every day. So I suppose why I like to concentrate on this is so that you know when you're sending a customer to us or one of your customers to your finance advisor to come through to Prospa, you know that they're going to be looked after. And these comments and the feedback that we get, you know, it's all electronic and it's all over the phone. So you generally get that great, you know, rapport when you're sitting in front of someone and that. But we, because of the way we're set up and the staff training and the staff that we have in the business. Everyone just wants to help business and get to know them and do the best we can. And I think it's just reflective in those comments.
For sure.
So again, just talking about, it's definitely you that they turn to for advice in the first place. And again, together we can help your customers get back to business. You are seeing all the customers that you're helping to prepare documents for that are going off to the bank. And absolutely, if their own bank can help them, that's brilliant. But just sometimes they can't for whatever reason. And we're a great kind of solution. And again, as I talked about in the start, you know, we definitely fill that gap in the market. Like it's just not clothing. I think once lenders start investing in technology like we do, but they could, but you know, I don't know when that's going to be.
They don't exactly move fast, those big banks.
I know, and the thing is, they do so much too. So you know, banks are great. But they do a lot. Whereas we do this one thing, and we do it really, really successfully and well. Yeah. So just to talk through, we also do have some campaigns out there. So we've got campaigns for our partners and also campaigns for customers. So basically, Beat 2020, we've got a campaign for customers where they basically don't have to make any payments for the first 8 weeks. That campaign launches on Thursday, which will be the 1st of October. So that's something that business owners, we ran a campaign like this earlier this year. And some business, especially when they're seasonal or again, when they're growing and they're just wanting access to cash flow and they're not going to be paid for that 30 or 60 days, or sometimes they're coming to us for the for money just for 2-3 months. And there's this kind of campaign definitely helps that business. Yeah. And then the other one, we've got a 15,000 loan offer for eligible partners. So basically, if you did want to become a partner with us, we've got a pre-approved loan for you. You just have to be operating in your business for at least 12 months. It's an excellent rate. Repayments $329 a week over 12 months. And there's a $50 origination fee. So we kind of put this offer out to partners so that anyone's, or you might be looking for finance in your business to help with your marketing or to help, you know, employ another person, you know, all of those or any of those things, or cash flow. So we put this out to partners so that you can also go through the process of what your customers that you've referred to us might go to and figure out what it's like, so it's not so foreign and you understand the process.
Good idea.
All right, so that's it for today. I didn't put a slide in about what our product is. I left out a big, huge thing in there. So basically, our loan amounts go from 5,000 to 300,000. And we do not require security. That's the other thing that puts us outside the bank. So you've got a lot of business owners in this current market who probably don't want to put their own homes at risk, you know, to lend for their business, which is a good spot to where we fall into. So any loans up to 100,000, we don't even register a GSA because we say our assessment process is good enough. And that everyone we lend to is capable and is going to repay us. And any loans above 100,000 to 300,000, we will register a GSA. We just want to know that they are. Pardon?
What's a GSA?
General Security Agreement. So it's basically every business that lends money, there's a register where lenders will go on to. So if the business kind of can't repay its debts, then the lender can go and take personal assets if they can't get the money back from the business. Yeah. But again, like I said, up to 100,000, we don't even register a GSA up front.
Awesome.
So we're about just getting the money out to the business, and we say our assessment of that customer and that business is good enough that they're going to be able to repay us in that time. Yeah, and so, yeah, and above 100,000, we will register a GSA. And we do want to know that the customer is asset-backed, just purely because of the size of the funds that we're giving out, which are essentially without security. So yeah, I think.
Oh, sorry, you go.
Yeah, so I think that's a big kind of cover of what we do. I didn't talk about our stuff. So in New Zealand, we've got 5. There are 4 of us. So there's Adrienne, the general manager, and myself. So we're both from a mortgages background. We're at Resimac Home Loans, which is a non-bank lender. So we're used to being helping people that are not, in the outside of the box. And then we've also got Carmen and Adam, who are desk-bound, and they're brilliant. So Adrienne, myself, Carmen and Adam work with partners throughout the whole of New Zealand, throughout the country, and then the rest of our team in Australia support us. So credits in Australia, HR, and sorry, it's people and culture we call it, and our sales team. But again, our sales team based in Australia, they all work New Zealand hours, and no one would know. Like we never have a customer complain that they're talking to someone in Australia. And our sales team in Australia, they jump to get onto the New Zealand team because they say New Zealand customers are much nicer. So they love working in the New Zealand space. So it's quite nice.
Beautiful. So it looks like we've got no questions through yet, but please let us know if you've got one. In the meantime, I do have one, Huia, just on your your partner program. So for our audience today, accountants and maybe some bookkeepers, so I wasn't clear, can they sign up to be a partner if they want to, or do they need to go through a financial advisor?
No, absolutely. We do partner with accountants and bookkeepers. Absolutely, we do. And it depends on you if you do want to partner directly with us. So some do, but then other accountants I've met with, they don't want to, which is fine. But then they also have great relationships with finance advisors that they generally are already referring some customers to, and it could be for mortgages, or it could be, to help them with their maybe insurances and things like that. And where an accountant or bookkeeper has a great relationship with their finance advisor, absolutely, it's likely I would know that finance advisor, and that finance advisor would likely be already a partner of Prospa. So again, this information session is about letting you know what else we do, how long we've been here, the type of customers we help, and just provide a bit more information and background to Prospa.
Great. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time. I definitely learned a lot. It's great to see what you guys can offer, and hey, an option to really help a client of our audience today who's really who's either struggling or needs something to get them to help them to transform their business. So thank you so much. We'll follow up with a little bit more information for those that would like to know more about partnering with Prospa. So watch out for some follow-up information coming through from us tomorrow. Thank you so much, Huia. Very much appreciated. And thanks to those that attended today. Have a wonderful afternoon.